So welcome back, guys. This is Madhav PVL, and today we are going to discuss about this introduction of architecture of UNIX operating system. So basically, an operating system should be very useful for the user, either in a command mode or in a graphical user interface mode. So let us just get into those topics in our further videos. So basically, now let me just introduce you this UNIX operating system. So Unix operating system is basically an open source operating system which is available to everyone. But the basic rule for this operating system is if we just change the lines of the code, then we need to just give our software also as an open source software. That is the rule which was kept by this founder. So basically Unix is an open source operating system. So many companies had just used the Unix for the purpose of their own profits, and they had just made some updates by using their own technologies, and they also changed the names of the Unix operating systems with according to their company rules and regulations, whatever it may be. So let us just keep it aside. So AIX is by IMB, HPUX is HP, Solaris, Sun, and Trux 60 for Unix, Compaq, Trix, SGI, SCO, Unix, SCO, and Xenix, Microsoft, and UTS, Amdal Corporation, and Linux, that is Red Hat. So basically, I think this is one of the most important which we hear nowadays, and because we use that very much, right? So Linux is one of the operating system which is used by everyone nowadays. So basically, Unix is a command interface operating system. So what is now meant by a command interface operating system? So basically, Unix works on the commands which were passed by the users. So basically, Unix is not a graphical user interface. So graphical user interface is nothing but if we just click on this start, we can just see these icons, right? Win Movie Maker, Wondershare, Filmora. So we can just see the app names. So this is smooth for user in the sense even a small kid can access this laptop, right? So by seeing these names, if a person who was a student of passing third grade, so he can just manage the things here, the basic things. In the sense I was just saying the basic things, he can just manage those things here. So this is a graphical user interface operating system. But whereas if we just come into this Unix, it is a command interface operating system, so where we need to just pass a command. So let me just show you one thing. So this is a command prompt. So this is for Windows operating system. So for Windows operating system, it is a command prompt, whereas in Linux or Unix, it will have some other things. So we need to just pass on some commands to just open our applications or to just make our work complete in a proper way. So we need to just pass some commands. So for that reason, it is known as a command interface operating system. So in Unix, multiple users can access at the same time. So basically, memory unit can be shareable by multiple users at the same time. So Unix architecture. So Unix architecture is finally based on this one image. So this one figure defines this operating system. So basically, this is a hardware unit, and this is known as kernel. So what is meant by kernel? So kernel is just a heart of this operating system. So we hear about this a lot in this upcoming videos. So kernel is so we can just say like this, like this is just like a heart of an operating system, and we can also just say like kernel is a pathway in between this hardware and shell. So pathway, what is meant by pathway? So we can just say like we have a phone, and in our phone we use Amazon. So Amazon is for online shopping. So if we just buy a product, then the delivery boy who is from outsource, he will just bring back the package to our home. So here the delivery person is this kernel, and then shell is this package. So hardware is the Amazon. So user will just pass some commands to this. Sorry, I had just made a mistake. So user will just pass a command to shell, and then shell is a high level programming language. So passing a command to this operating system can be done with the help of this high level programming language. So if we just pass a command to shell with the help of this high level programming, then machine can't understand this high level programming, right? right? So machine can understand only machine language, that is a binary code. So this kernel can be worked as a compiler, or we can say comparator, or we can say whatever names it may be. So it will just convert this high level code into this binary language, and it will just send it to this hardware. So in this hardware, it consists of registers, memory units, and whatever it may be. So this all things. So whatever data is required for the user will be just taken from this hardware by kernel, and then kernel will send it to the shell, and shell will just give it as an output to the user. So user needs to be his operating system very fast. So he needs his operating system to be very fast and efficient in doing his works. So I think this is a proper structure for the Linux. So this is a proper structure for the, sorry, not Linux. We can just call those both are same, Linux and Unix. So it's a proper basic structure for this Unix operating system. And then working of all the components in this architecture. So hardware, it consists of this physical component required for the system, and then kernel. It works on the low level programming language, and it is also known as the heart of the system. So low level programming, according to our knowledge, binary language is a low level programming language. So it works on an interface in between this shell and hardware. So basically it works as an interface in between shell and hardware. So low level tasks are device management, memory management, system call controls. So system call control is nothing but the controls which were given from this user, and then memory management is nothing but this is an inbuilt function of this kernel, like in which space or in which address or in which state this given data or the register should be saved. So this is done by this memory management. And then device management is nothing but the proper usage of the device and maintaining a proper data which is being used and which is being not used. So these all things will be done by this kernel. So shell, it works on this high level programming of the system. This is just for the purpose of receiving the commands from the user. So this is just for the purpose of receiving the commands from the user. Shell is used for that purpose. Whereas applications, so these are the final softwares or the outputs from the set of codes. So Word files, PPTs, browsers. So basically this whole operating system doesn't create a new file. It will just use to just open a new interface. So Word is a new interface, PowerPoint is a new interface, Internet browser is a new interface. So to open those new interfaces, this operating system works on these things. So user need to use this, right, for his personal purpose or whatever it may be. So for his job purpose or whatever it may be, so he need to just use this applications, right? So in this manner, he uses this whole operating system for accessing these applications in our operating system. So what is meant by a root directory? So root directory is nothing but, let us just consider a general example. So general example in the sense, if we just consider the library. So if we consider the example of library, so a person who is studying this business management will just refer to the big books of this business management, and the person who is studying is B.Tech in this computer science will just refer to the books of this computer science. So basically, every category has its own people and own domains, right? So this slash represents the category, or we can just say like a library. So this slash represents the library. So the slash represents this libraries. So basically, these libraries are just accessed by the user. So whatever the functions which is required, every function will stay in its own libraries, right? So every library has its own uses. So whatever user asks to this operating system, then the data registers and all the instruction set which is required for that process will be taken up from these libraries with the help of this operating system. So basically, these are the uses of some of the libraries which were inbuilt in our operating system. So this slash represents the root directory, and this slash bin is binaries, static boot files, and then CD-ROMs, device files, configuration files, home folders, essential shared libraries. So these are the some of the full forms or the uses of this library. So let us just discuss about this Unix file system. So what is Unix file system? So basically in this libraries, the user gets into this libraries and just checks for this instruction sets and all the data which is required to complete that process or the application to complete. So in the home is the user is just checking for those documents on the desktop and photos and family photos, a desktop for stuff and documents for is document which is named as a my thesis. So basically the user is getting into this home library and then checking for the things whichever it is required. So the operating system consists of different types of libraries whatever it may be, and here we can just see like the things which were above this home are predefined directories. That is nothing but in our my computer we can just see like C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. So these are some of the libraries or directories we can just imagine. So we can just imagine for the imagination purpose, we can think there are some predefined directories. So these are some of the predefined directories, and these directories are user defined. Like in the documents, my thesis is just given by us. Stuff is given by us. Family photos are given by us, and this documents desktop photos are given by this operating system. So we can't call this as an inbuilt function. So this is present only because of the user smoothness. Otherwise these three will not be present. They will be just like some hard disks, plain hard disks, and we can just create whatever it may be. So that is another thing we are just getting out of the topic. So boot block, it contains all the bootable objects. In super block, it contains file system related files and the count of the allocated and unallocated files. And then inode block, it contains index type mode. That is, it describes all the file names and file data types and whatever it may be. And then data block, here the data is stored. So this is the basic architecture of a Unix operating system. So in this way, the Unix operating system works for the user. So as I said before, there are two types. There are graphical user interface and command line interface. So we will just discuss in this upcoming videos. So thank you for watching, guys.